Writing a book, part 5. This is the beauty of the bittersweet. And that bittersweet feeling, if you are a maker, if you are a creator, if you are an artist of any kind, I would love to hear from you down below how the end of your creation feels for you. And by the end, I mean it's complete. It's it's over. And like I literally want to cry a little bit. That's like the energy that comes, is like the bitter part of the thing that you were so in love with, like that you were just so lit on fire from the inside out to get to channel this inspiration, to get to channel this creation. It's complete. You did it, and now it's over. And like where I am right now in my book, I have 3 sections, um, 3 headers that I haven't written yet. And like maybe I need to write like another 1,000 words, another 1,500 words. Like that's about it. And like it's already 90. What is it? For posterity's sake, 9765 is where it's sitting right now. And so I mean I'm on like the home stretch. The last 5 to 10% is all that there is. And then maybe there's an editing process and a little bit of writing happens there. But like for the most part, I made the thing. I made the thing that, 9 days ago, or I think that's about how long it was when I got the idea. It was January 22nd, and I'm recording this January 31st. I got the idea for like, I want to write this, the art of truth telling. I need to write this book. And maybe it's an ebook, maybe it's just 10 pages, but like, I think I can write something that is true. Like it's, the truth telling, it's true. That it's gonna feel accurate. Like I really want to see, like, let me just brain dump. And that's where we started. And then, here I am 9 days later, and I'm on the last little bit of the home stretch. The finish line is in sight. And I've created enough things in my life to know the bittersweet feeling that is waiting for me when I cross the finish line, to the point where now I can see the finish line. And instead of like racing toward it, like, oh my God, there it is, the thing that I've been wanting, like, there it is. It's like, no, no, because like when you're in it for the fun, the finish line is sad. The finish line is like, it's over. It's like the best movie you've ever watched, and then the credits start rolling, and it's like, ah, no, I want to stay. I want to stay in there. But we can't. Like, that's not the way it works. Like, it's all a forward motion momentum. Like, this, the Art of Truth Telling ebook, like, this was my creative process for this week and a half. Like, that's it. That's it. And like I said in the very first one, like nobody said I can't write 37 ebooks. And in the 9 days I've been working on this one, I've had about 37 other ideas for all the other things that I would love to like write a little chunk about. Yeah, how does that work? How does this work? How does this work? Like, just there's so many fun chunks that I could do. And like that part isn't lost on me, right? But again, if you're an artist, I wonder how well you are familiar with like the difference between sensing potential and like a potential idea and being smack dab in the middle of something that's working, something that is flowing. It is flowing, life force of its own. Like, it's the art of truth telling has its own life force that is not my life force. And like the art of truth telling's life force is moving its way into physical through my vessel. Like, it is a life of its own that is being created, no different than when you give birth to another human. They don't belong to you. This book doesn't belong to me. I just was the typer that brought it into physical. And that is like the most fucking satisfying feeling of my life, of anything in my entire life. There is nothing better. I can say this wholeheartedly. This is my truth. There is nothing better than being in the center of one of those processes where you are literally birthing a separate life force energy into being. And it's exhilarating. It's life-giving, literally. And even though like it's irrational, right? The truth is often irrational. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be logical. My truth right now is that I'm sad that this one is almost over. And the other piece of it is like so interesting. Like it's not over. Like in many ways, the end for the creator is the beginning for the life force that you birthed, for the all the people who will interact with that life force. Like it's just the beginning. You being done and releasing it out into the world is just the beginning. Like I keep having this visual of it's like one little kid and they're in a city and they're standing at like a cement edge of a lake, let's say, like a natural body of water. And like they're kneeled down and they have this little sailboat that they made. And they sit it on the water and they give it a little push and they stand up, and it's just the little kid standing there watching this sailboat that they made sailing off on top of this body of water, like out into this lake. The little kid, like part of the piece that it really sticks out to me is like the little kid is never going to get that sailboat back. Like it's never going to belong to them again, because like they set sail, they put it out onto the water. But it's not about possessing the sailboat. It's about taking the thing that you made and setting it on the water and watching it float, watching it move out into the world on its own wholeness, on its own balance, on its own body, carrying itself forward. Like as the creator, like that is the moment that I keep seeing that, like as I shared in the very first episode of this, like there there have been many times where I have thought I want to write a bike. I want to write a book. Like I don't know, thousands of times in my life I've come up with ideas and book titles, and like if you look back through my journal, like you'd think, wow, she's going to write like 200 books in her lifetime. That sounds like a lot. Probably right, like one or two of those is ever going to get finished. And so far, none of the ones that I've ever had an idea for, or even the ones that I tried to write, like I physically opened a Word document and wrote some stuff, none of that ever even got close to experiencing the end of it. And this one, I can now say, like, I know for sure this book will be finished and I am going to publish it. I just keep seeing the little kid putting their sailboat on the water and watching it float away. Like, you will say goodbye to your creation when you set it sail out into the world, but you will get to see it float. You will get to see the thing that your two hands made travel on its own accord, on its own life force. Like it is not bitter, it's bittersweet. There is part of it that feels so sad, like a friend, my best friend for these last 9 days. Them and I are parting ways. And very soon, we have very little of our visit left. And it has been my deep honor to be in sacred relationship with this friend. And yeah, like as not that I rushed any of it. I did as I said, with like, this is for the fun. This is like just for the fun of getting to like I had an idea and it turned into a page, like just for the fun of getting to translate energy into the physical. And so like none of it has been rushed, but even more so now that I can see the end is so near. The end is so near. I mean, I'm in finishing touches mode and it's almost over. This beautiful creation experience is almost over. And that's not to say there's not going to be another one. And honestly, that's one of I don't know if you would call it a mistake. It's definitely a lesson I've learned, which is So I think back to a video that I created in the end of 2021, and it was a video about Elizabeth Holmes, her story, and her natal chart, and I interpreted her natal chart in this video. Anyways, it was like such it was such a fun process. I spent probably like about the same amount of time, like a week, creating this, and when I pushed publish, the existential depression was instantaneous. It was like immediately I was empty and hollow inside in the worst way. And it was because like this life force that I had been birthing out into the world had been filling me up, and like I was so consumed by it and so devoted to creating it, to giving it the physical boost that it needed to become its own thing. And so, like, I had been so all focused on my creation that then when it came to an end, the hollow feeling, it pulled me under a little bit, because what I did was instantly dive into the next one. I instantly was like, okay, where's my next idea? Where's my project? Where's my next project? Where's my, like, I need that feeling again. I was like chasing that high, that creative high. And so I started immediately. I like picked my next subject. I started my next video. I wrote a whole script and I recorded the whole video. And when I went to edit it, so like I had put like 30 hours into that next project, the whole time being really drained and tired, and none of it felt the same as the first one. But I kept thinking, like, at some point, this is going to get fun, like the last one. But I was just so tired. And I get to the editing phase, and I like within the first 5 minutes, I'm like, none of this is usable. None of it. Like, my energy isn't there. I'm like lifeless on this video. Like, this is not usable. And so basically I scrapped that project. I never finished it. I never even went back to it. I realized that one of the main reasons, one of the key ingredients to why this this video that I was just finishing, why it was so magical, was because right before I got the idea to do it, I had been coming off of like a 2 or 3 week hiatus of I had been resting and napping and watching Netflix and zoning out, and like that was basically it. Like I was very detached and just in my resting floating space, which I do enjoy going to pretty frequently, more and more as my life goes on. That's where I had been when I downloaded the idea to do the Elizabeth Holmes video, and it was so organic, the same as the art of truth telling. Like, it had a life of its own. It wanted to exist separate from me, and it pushed its way out through to completion. And same with this ebook. Like, it has been such, God, like such a breathtaking process of like the non-physical energy of this book combining with my physical energy, my ability to focus, my ability to feel my energy move in an inspired way, and how that melds together to create something that has never existed before. It's addictive. It's addictive. And like in the past, at the end of 2021, like I chased that high straight into the next project. And the lesson I learned right then, so a little over a year ago, on off of making videos, the lesson I learned was when I finish a project, the next step is never to begin the next project. The next step is to go back to the floaty place. Go get back in your rest state. Go get back in your detached, blissful, zenned out, happy to be alive. I'm just eating popcorn and watching Seinfeld. Like, this is my life. Like, go back there. That's where the delicious divine inspiration comes from. It's never going to be something that you're like, I demand that right now I get to make a second video. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to, when you are demanding that a creation be born, you can probably do it. Like I did it. I mean, I wrote the whole script, I recorded the whole video, I did it. But the finished product, like the process along the way, it's like, why are you doing it? You know, like, are you doing it for getting it done, or are you doing it for the quality of the experience along the way, which in my truth is automatically reflected in the quality of the finished product? Like, there's not really anything that we have to do to make the finished product good except create it from a space where we can't not, where everything in our being has to make this. And the bittersweet part that I'm feeling as I approach getting this done is new territory for me, because I'm so aware that, like, right after I'm done with this, I am going to feel hollow. I am going to feel like my insides expanded to make room for this second life force. And now it's not in there anymore. And I know this is not even close to the same thing, but it's almost like a creative postpartum depression where maybe it's physiological, maybe it's not, but it's definitely emotional. When your creation is no longer a part of your life force, like when it's complete and it's now completely out of you, it's out in the world doing its own thing, and you're here with just you, with just your energy. Like, that feeling is hard. It's a challenging moment in the creative process. And I think what I've also learned after, like, kind of having that takeaway of, like, every time I finish a project, it's time to rest. It's not time to push through and start the next thing. It's time to rest. And so taking that into my life and practicing it this last year, I think maybe I'm having this awareness early. I'm having this awareness before I get to that stage, because it doesn't have to be depressing. It can be satisfying. It can be delicious to walk around your expanded insides and be like, look at how much room I have in here now. Like, look at all this open space. There's so much room for activities. Like, yeah, maybe it's delicious. Maybe it's satisfying to look at what you just created. Maybe it's a time to just be in awe and stand on the shore, watching your boat float out to sea farther and farther and farther and farther until it's a little speck that you hardly recognize. Maybe it can be a joyful experience. Not that you're glad to have it be over or glad to see it come to an end, but that is the natural cycle. When a life force wants to exist, it's not wanting to merge with you, it's seeking its independence. And you giving it its independence is truly a beautiful gift. That maybe that time after that empty slow down of a time after the creation is complete is for celebrating the independence that you just created.